brain research and the relationship between brain energy, metabolism, memory, and neurobehavioral disorders. He holds the George Sanchez Centennial Professorship at the University of Austin. He's professor in the departments of psychology, pharmacology, and toxicology, and psychiatry at the Institute of Neuroscience. He actually started out working at the Universidad Católica de Ponce, and he's offered to inform us about the situation connected to the health crisis and the medical services in Puerto Rico.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be quick about this. I have to start out by thanking the organizers, but I would like to acknowledge from the very beginning that there's nothing that I say here that is going to make a big difference in what happened in Puerto Rico. And I'm afraid I don't think it is the time to put blame. This is not the time. This is the time for us to work together, try to see what can be done. The little that we can do, we can put it together. So one of the things that I'm trying to emphasize here, I'm going to focus on only one aspect and how that aspect impacts public health and mental health. Go in the other direction. This is some of the general things that some of you already know, but I wanted to emphasize the problem that we have from a broad perspective, economically speaking, 45 to 90 billion dollars. And there has been much talk about the death toll. This is something that we have to realize. This is not going to be known for many months. We can follow what happens in the news. For example, I have here a couple of quotes, Vox reporting 81 deaths, 550 deaths awaiting investigation, and then several days ago, 117 missing. The situation is that every hospital in Puerto Rico, the morgue is full at capacity, and there are no forensic physicians available. And if they are available, they don't have the resources. You need to open up bodies, you need to cut them with electrical devices, you need tools that need to be used. And now the priority is the people who are alive and the people who are suffering. So we need to, unfortunately, we cannot get these accurate numbers. And I think when the governor of, I don't want to blame anybody, but when the governor was asked how many people have died, he should say, we don't know. That was the appropriate answer. And we're not going to know for many months. But we have to move past these, and we have to focus on the people who are alive. And in that case, I put number one, power. And I'll try to make the point here that if we focus initially in power, this is going to have the better effect in everything that we refer to as public health, including mental health. With power comes clean water, and as you will see, food and fuel are also related to this. And they're all very difficult to get at the moment. There has been a response by the local and the US government, but it has been very slow by any standard. It doesn't matter how you look at it. The conditions are really perfect for creating this public health crisis. And the public health crisis is going to be more dramatic in the first 6 months. It's going to last for a year, and then there will be repercussions that nobody can really determine at this point. Let me tell you about power. So I focus on this. As of yesterday that I've been checking, you can check these sources in Status PR, a website that you can follow from the government of Puerto Rico. Some of the data may not be very accurate, but I calculated 86.3% has not been restored. So this is a major situation of power failure. If we compute, and this is not an accurate estimate, if we compute from the 3.4 million people in Puerto Rico, that means about 2.9, almost 3 of those 3 million are still without power. Some of them have generators, but you know the difficulty involved in keeping them alive. So some of the estimates, 4 to 6 months without power. that's nearly half a year or even more, the more people are going to be without electric pumps that cannot bring running water to the houses, to the hospitals, the clinics, without air conditioning when the weather in some locations is good weather, but it's not everywhere in the island. And most of the basic tasks of what we call modern life, including healthcare, are going to be very difficult or impossible to happen without power. So here in this graph, what I'm trying to say is what happens when we lose power, primarily from a health point of view. If we go around here, the most obvious thing is we don't have lights, and so we cannot function at night, so we limit our working range. But temperature control is gone. Clean water, which is a major public health issue, but also sewage disposal depends on pumping and also the processing of these. And this is being accumulated in a scale that has never been seen before after the storm. Food storage, because food depends on the electricity and temperature to be preserved. Medication storage, the same thing. Life support devices, all of those technologies are entirely dependent on having power. Safety mechanisms, being able to make these first responses, transportation, communication, air quality. And finally, I put mental health. When we go around this, when all of these things are happening, we're going to end up with a mental health crisis. Okay, when people have been subjected to all these problems stemming from the loss of power. So, in my opinion, focusing on this will be the most important task at hand. This is an example of the flooding that is happening that has overridden the possibility for sewage disposal. All of this is going to become contaminated. It is right now contaminated, but it's just going to become more contaminated as bacteria and viruses are growing. And the people are going to be exposed to these. They cannot get out of their homes without being exposed to some of these. Even after the water dries out, there's going to be a toxic sediment. And this sediment is going to be very rich in microbial flora that's going to affect Puerto Rico. And as you know, it was not very long ago that this Zika virus was a major problem in the island. So this is going to facilitate this phenomenon. What can people do? This is really a sad thing to see. People going to some areas in the mountains, getting some of the water that is running down the stream, some of the rainwater, using it for cleaning, using it for drinking in many cases. This is not happening, of course, in the more metropolitan areas. And you need to get there with cars and gasolines, and this is a problem, as you know. So we have long lines of people just to get a small amount of gasoline or diesel for the generators. And this situation has to be addressed head-on as the first step for dealing with this problem. Also, the hospitals are running on generators. We get conflicting information. We don't know exactly what's really happening. I have contacted people at the University of Puerto Rico Medical Sciences campus, and I get a report from them. Other from the two private medical schools, the one in Ponce, that I used to work in that one. But the one in Bayamón, I am unable to communicate with them. All the emails are failure delivery. I don't get anybody to answer me. But for example, FEMA says 59 out of 69 hospitals have power restored. However, the Department of Salud Federal y Local says yesterday that there are only 45 working with electricity. So we don't know exactly what's happening, but still many of them, and working powers with generators is not a solution. Every interaction in the modern health system involves electricity. I like to point out, because we've been pointing out the problems, so I wanted to point out a little bit about solutions. We need more of innovative solutions. One of the problems here is the power plants in Puerto Rico, the median age is 44 years old. It's going to be very difficult to continue with that kind of infrastructure. There has always been a lot of safety issues that have been going on for many years. So there have been a few attempts, and I praise those, and I wish instead of having one director of Tesla, we had a dozen like him. They have been sending hundreds of these batteries to power together with solar panels. They continue to do that at the expense of being able to sell as many cars. Other companies have also followed their example. I highlighted here several of them. Sonova, New Star Solar, Light Up Puerto Rico is actually a charity that raises money to buy solar systems. What I'm saying here, when we consider that the infrastructure is damaged, that is so crucial power for healthcare, and even if we put these things to work back again, and there is another hurricane coming down, there has to be a different approach. With the solar and the battery, you can generate power at the local level. You can generate power in smaller communities, including individuals, and you can store some of that power with these batteries. We're going to be facing a future of disasters due to these climate changes. So this is an alternative that I think should be encouraged, and if we can help move along these lines. I also, even though I don't want to blame, I want to just point out the facts. The government of Puerto Rico has been a major obstacle to the relief effort. In terms of delay, it is only in October 11th that the military medical personnel has been approved to operate without a license in Puerto Rico. Before that, they couldn't do it. And of course, you know, we have Irma before, so why not, by the time we have Irma, to come up with this exemption? Then we have the Maria, and it still took its time. And so the prevention aspect of this is that other health professionals cannot offer the service if they are not under the Department of Defense. This is the current situation right now. So I believe healthcare providers with license to practice in the U.S. should be allowed to practice in Puerto Rico during this time of public health crisis. And this is, yes, it's a simple, well, it's not simple, but it's simpler as compared to all the other problems that we have, and it's a political decision. And we need to realize, we who are here, who have family there, we can ask for these things to happen. We can serve a little bit of leverage. So the future of healthcare